sign.
I'd like to call to order the August meeting of Marion City Council, City of Taneytown, and ask Councilman Carl Ebal to lead us in the pledge.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All council members are present and accounted for, and welcome everyone. Our first order of business tonight is the approval of the minutes. Anyone care to make a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
Mr. Mayor, can I suggest that we
Need a-
approve
need a-
these minutes?
Need a motion before there's any discussion, so we need to get a motion on that.
I move these individually. I'd make a motion that we approve the minutes of July the 6th.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion on the minutes of July 6th? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Now, does anyone care to make a motion to approve the minutes for July 11th regular meetings and June 22nd closed session?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I have some discussion. The July 11th, I think I mentioned this Wednesday night. At the beginning of council member reports, we started with Councilman Frazier, who instead of a report made a motion to adjourn, which I had seconded, and it was voted down. And that's not reflected in the July 11th meeting minutes.
I'm sorry, what was that?
For council member reports, it started with Councilman Frazier, who instead of a report made a motion to adjourn. And I'd seconded that, and that's not reflected in the minutes. It was defeated by vote, but there was a vote taken on that.
Okay.
I also have concern. I want to make a motion that we adopt the language that I suggested on Wednesday that explains the portion of the
We
minutes.
have a motion on the
says-
floor, Don. We've already got a motion on the floor. We've got to deal with that.
What just happened between Brad and?
I'm discussing.
Yeah, I'm discussing
Right.
these minutes as they're presented to us.
Ryan, I know, but you just said that you were making a motion.
Yeah, let me just restate that then.
Thank you.
That's a good point. Under adoption of Code of Conduct, motion to adopt by Zambetti, seconded by Wance, followed by a motion to table by Frazier with no second. The motion died. Original motion was adopted 4-1 with Frazier abstaining or opposing, it says. I handed out a handout to everyone explaining my no vote.
I think you're on the wrong minutes, Councilman.
This is the minutes from, yeah, my notes are on this minutes. My notes are here, that's why I'm on this page. So,
Right, but-
Now I'm confused. I don't know.
Code of
where
Conduct was not on the July 11th meeting.
I
Yeah,
think we had a correction to the minutes of July the 11th, which included a omission that the motion was called for to adjourn by Councilman Frazier and seconded by Wance and defeated by council. And I guess we have to deal with that.
I was explaining why Frazier opposed this, and I said that today I would bring up again the reason that I opposed this was because of the handout I handed out today about why the Code of Conduct should not be enacted at this meeting. I handed out a page front and back that I want to make available to the press.
All right, well, let's deal with this addition to the minutes. Does anybody want to accept that amendment to the July 11th meeting? Make a motion to accept it.
so moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor of accepting that amendment, say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. So carried. Now, Councilman, you had an additional addition to the minutes? Is that what?
Yeah, I had made a motion to approve the amendments, but there was no, the second and the motion denied, and it had to do with the approval of the Code of Conduct. And then it says I voted against it, and I rose to explain why I voted against it on two grounds. First, that it was unconstitutional, and second, that it violated our oath of office. And I've handed out a handout today explaining my no vote, and I'd like that.
Well, you see, that's
that
just your opinion that it's not constitutional.
Well, I'd like the minutes to reflect that, that the reason that I voted no,
Your
both
vote-
on
your vote
the,
is reflected.
on the amendment and also on the reason that Frazier opposed. You cannot tell why I did that by the way the
Anyone
minutes are
care to make
truncated.
anyone care to make a second to that motion? Hearing nothing, the motion dies. Is there any further additions to the July 11th meeting? All those in favor of approving those minutes as amended, say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, like sign.
I'm opposed to
So
approving that
carried.
in that form.
Next, we have the closed session on July the 26th. Anyone care to make a motion to accept those minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Yes, this was a meeting that I was not invited to. I was not invited to the open meeting that would discuss whether to have a closed session. I had informed the council that I would be in Africa during this time, and I had talked to at least two councilmen about the fact that encouraged them not to have a meeting while I was away in Africa, but I was not invited to the open session, and I was not, and I was excluded from attending the closed session. And
So
I
is
wanted
there some
to, I
kind of
wanted the
amendment you wanna make
discussion
to that?
today to say that the reading of the minutes, the way they're written here, marks me as absent when I was not invited to an open session and I was not allowed to come to a closed session. So I would like the minutes to reflect that these minutes do not reflect that. It looks like I just didn't show up. And that's not what happened at all here. The minutes don't reflect what actually happened, which is I had assurances from two councilmen that there would not be any meetings
You weren't
during my
absent?
absence.
Are you saying you weren't absent? You were not absent? Is that what you're
And,
saying?
I think that marking me absent to the minutes implies to a casual reader that I was duly invited and did not attend the meeting. That's not true. That's not what happened in this meeting. This was a secret meeting that was held by the city council while I was in Africa.
Now, Don,
And,
I corrected you last Wednesday and said this was not a secret meeting. It was a meeting that excluded you because you had a conflict of interest.
I don't have a conflict of interest to the open portion of the meeting that, for any reason. I don't think this minutes actually reflect the reason. It says legal letter received by the city threatening litigation for attorney. There are only certain reasons under the open meetings law that you can have a closed session.
You have a motion to make regarding those minutes.
I'm going to vote against these minutes because they're fraudulent. They don't reflect the fact that you called a private secret meeting. I wasn't invited to the open meeting. And then I think that if you look at the open meetings law, like I held up a copy of the placards from MACO, you can only have a meeting when you've actually invited the public to come to an open meeting, and then you vote under the reasons given in the law for a closed meeting. And these minutes do not do that. The letter of June the 13th was read into record by our attorney at the Wednesday meeting, and it declares the reasons that we think that that you cannot go forward with these minutes as they're currently written. So I'd encourage my fellow councilmen to vote against approval of these meetings because they don't accurately reflect what happened in this circumstance.
Don, you've made your point. Can we get on with the,
Anyone care to make a motion? Will you make a motion to approve these minutes yet?
We did.
22, has
Yes.
been seconded? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign.
No.
Okay, thank you. Now, I must remind council, if anybody has any conflicts of interest this evening on any agenda items, they must declare them. Anybody have anything?
No. No, sir.
No.
All right, we'll move on to resolutions, ordinances, and agreements. And the first one is, and the only one, is the adoption of Resolution 2016-26, water allocation for August. Someone care to make that motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second?
Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. So carry. Next, we have the city manager's report. Henry, do you have anything additional for us?
Yes, if you recall, there was a question about the well 17, and I discussed that with Public Works, and basically what they're saying is they suspect that there's a probe in the well that's malfunctioning, and that's going to be looked at and checked, make sure it's still working. The other thing is that I contacted some people with regard to Ellicott City, and what they said most is they need money more than anything at the moment.
Anybody have any questions for Henry?
Can I ask a question about that in general? If we wanted to say maybe send them like $1,000 or something, what would the process for that be? How would we go about that?
New business.
New business?
Okay. Anyone have any questions on the departmental reports? Hearing none, our attorney's not with us this evening, so there's no additional legal report information. Does anyone have any comments or questions or thoughts on Jay's report from Wednesday that we can convey to our attorney?
I think I have a question that Claire may be able to answer. The quarterly certification, when are we to complete that? The quarterly certification of financial disclosure, when are we to receive and complete that? Okay.
I believe he said September 30th.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
All right. Moving on to old business. The status of the zoning ordinance for electronic message board. Do we need any action there? What
No,
are we trying to do?
nothing new to report on that.
Nothing to on that. All right, and finally, we have the monthly financial report. Do I have any comments on the monthly financial report?
We need a motion for it, is that correct, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah.
Need a motion for approve that report.
I move that we approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. So carried. Next, we have accounts payable. Anyone care to make a motion to approve the accounts payable?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second?
Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I had brought up on Wednesday, I was concerned about the $20,000 check that was written to our legal counsel. This, we've been trying to get the legal counsel to give us data about the counting of the ballot, the petition to put this removal from office on that. We've been unable to get that in a
when
timely
they-
manner. We also been facing 3 pieces of legislation, the removal from office that forced about 1,100 people in the town to sign a petition to try to get that on the ballot to overturn that. And then we have the other pieces of legislation, the campaign finance piece of legislation that violates the Citizens United Supreme Court decision. And then we have the Code of Conduct, which I've handed out a stunning passage of that just
Does
at the
any of
meeting
this have
before
to do
that.
with the accounts payable?
Yes, and I'm describing why I'm going to vote against the accounts payable report that you've just made a motion to accept. I think it's terrible to pay the attorney $20,000 to draft unconstitutional pieces of legislation, and I think that it is absolutely appalling waste of money to have him to be on staff to do the kind of sparring that he's done with the citizens when they attempt to receive information about what's going on inside this building. And I'm stunned that he did not warn the council not to have a secret meeting while I'm in Africa, violate the open meetings law. So I'm going to vote against the $20,000. I voted against the last couple $20,000 draws in this calendar year. That's too much money for attorney. Mako, Mr. Mayor, I talked to other towns. They do
When you
not
say-
have a
When you
lawyer.
say $20,000, I'm not sure what you're talking about. Are you talking about the 3-month bill that Jay
It's a
selected?
3-month bill, and in that 3 months, it's been a disaster of legislation that violates one principle after another about how
In
to
your,
run a good charter.
in your opinion,
Well, I'm not the only one.
If you don't like it, Don, vote against it.
I'm going to vote against it. I'm going
Well,
to
then
use
do
my
that.
right
All right.
as
We
a
don't
councilman
need 15
to explain why I'm voting
Anyone else
against
have any-
this large amount of money.
Anyone else have any comments or questions on the accounts payable? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, like sign.
Opposed. I'm going to file a minority report on why we think this is an abuse of power to write these pieces of legislation
Okay,
and then
all
bill the
right.
citizens for it.
Next item on the agenda is the council member reports. And Councilman Frazier, I'll let you kick it off. What would you like to say tonight?
Well, That's one of the quickest meetings. I would say this is one of the quickest meetings that I've been to since I've been on the council.
Pretty quick.
If you're already reports. It's a delight to have some sanity discussed at the last meeting about our new electronic sign. The sign that we have purchased will help our Recs and Parks Department beyond belief. The sign surface is no larger than the existing sign that's currently in the park. It's a different type of light that's directional, where the current lighting of the sign is a white light that diffuses to neighbors. This light will be just in the direction of the road. I had told folks that I was so excited about the technology because we could put up different messages and greetings as a gateway that I would like to see it erected in the month of August, because I think we purchased the sign.
This has been part of our plan for about 3 years now, so it's finally coming to fruition. And I think everybody's pretty much in agreement with what you're saying, Councilman, so that's a positive step forward, I think.
Well, the portion of the agenda called new business, under that portion of the agenda, I was going to make a motion that we go ahead and erect the sign and take delivery of it. I think a very strange thing happened here a couple weeks ago when we bought something that was budgeted for 3 years, like you said, but then wouldn't take delivery. If I was a vendor, I would be upset by that. I think we ought to erect the sign and help us with the fall sports schedule. So,
Well, it's simply respecting our own ordinances, and
well, there are no ordinances. I think
the
we got bad
council
legal advice.
was
If it's not
wise and
in the
prudent
zoning
in
ordinance
that.
to prohibit, Mr. Mayor, it's then not illegal.
That's incorrect in zoning.
No, it's not. I checked that out too. That's the advice you were given, but that's not correct advice.
Coun-
Well, that's the
Councilman-
training that the
Would you
planning.
like to,
I believe it's the training, but it's
would you
not
like to
correct.
make any kind of motion?
Yeah, I would like to make a motion that we remove the restriction to erect the sign we've purchased and budgeted now for 3 years. There was a restriction made about taking delivery and erecting it. I hope that someone would second that and we could have a vote on to let that go forward. I believe it's a gateway sign. It would improve the appearance of the entry to town.
Anyone care to make a
And
second?
also, I think we have other gateways to consider in the future.
I'm going to second it just for discussion, and I would respectfully request that the minutes reflect that I seconded it for discussion. Councilman, no one opposes the sign, we just oppose the manner in which it's going to be erected. We wanna
That's
make
not
sure
entirely
it's
true.
Not entirely true.
I'm opposed to the sign.
Opposed to it completely?
But
Yeah, there was a lot of discussion. I didn't get to attend the planning commissions, but I've talked to members of the planning commission that were told that the sign is much larger, much brighter than the existing sign. The things that make the sign physically larger are things that make it a beautiful gateway, Joe. The sign is going to be a beautiful addition to the park. It also has sufficient distance from the
Oh, Councilman,
neighboring house.
always remember, something I learned many, many years ago. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
Well, Mr. Mayor,
good
since
added.
since we're discussing and that was brought up, let me speak to that, because whoever told you it was the same size lied to you. The existing sign is 32 square feet, 8 feet wide by 4 feet tall. The new sign is 49 square feet. It actually stands over 9 feet tall and is 7 feet wide. It is 2 feet above the ground. You have a 5x7 electronic portion, then you have a 2x7 fixed City of Taneytown sign. It is 49 square feet. It is significantly larger than the existing sign.
Well, that's just what I just got done saying, that the broadcast area of the sign is no larger than the existing sign. The other things are the beautification portions. So I'd encourage the council to go ahead and put up the sign we've been planning on putting up. And I think we can do that and put to rest this idea that's been discussed at our planning commission that something unjust has happened.
Does anybody else
Nothing
have
injustice happened.
any comments? Do we reverse our position from last month and have the sign delivered, or we keep it on hold? Remember, our city manager says that the manufacturer has no problem with this issue and doesn't mind holding it in their warehouse until we're able to construct it. And the fact that they probably would rather do that, because the fact that they're going to construct it would make it easier for them to construct it out of their warehouse than out of our warehouse. So it just would probably, the company probably would prefer that. But anyway, we can change it if we want to. It's been moved and second. All in favor of,
Mr. Mayor.
okay.
I suggest that we let planning and zoning work out their differences with the sign and take delivery at that time at such time that they do. They have assured us that they will move on this
Correct.
and work it out.
That's our
And that was-
position right now.
And that was the request from the planning commission that I conveyed Wednesday night, was that the
Yes.
city respect the code.
Yep.
And I see their point. How long are they willing to hold this?
They didn't give any time frame,
Okay.
but, you know, we are giving them 50%
Right,
cost.
right.
And they're willing to wait till,
And that matter
Now-
will be taken up.
Now,
Yeah.
are they manufacturing the sign and then holding it, or are they waiting to manufacture until
oh,
you
no,
give
it's
them?
already made.
Okay.
Any other
Delivered any day.
comments regarding the
Well, the
sign?
reason I'm making this motion, just to explain, Mr. Mayor, is because the discussions have implied that something unfair has happened because other signs were denied. But that's not true. The broadcast area of the sign is no larger than the existing sign.
It's
The
3
current
square feet
sign
larger.
is broken,
Well,
and
larger.
this certainly is awkward to use. And so I'd encourage my council members to vote
Okay.
to go ahead and
Anyone
finish
else
this
have any
project as soon
comments?
as possible.
Councilman Wentz, what were you going to say? I thought,
In terms of, about that there, it is larger. Even the broadcast portion is larger than the existing. So just to be clear, it is not even comparable, the two signs. So that argument can't exist. What I find interesting about it is that nowhere on the sign does it say Memorial Park. It's a sign for the park, and nowhere on the sign does it say Taneytown Memorial Park. So,
All right. All in favor of changing our action from last month and having the sign shipped, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
aye.
The nays have it, so we'll keep the situation the same. Anything else for us, Councilman?
No. There's a lot of excitement about the new technology,
All
and
right.
that's my report.
Brad, what's,
No, I conveyed everything Wednesday night from the planning commission. I have nothing new to report, sir.
Diane, what do you have for us?
Under economic development, we have decided, actually all of the main streets have decided, to sort of revamp our Main Street initiative. And in so doing, we have adopted what we call an ambassador program, and it's to teach, to train volunteers to promote Taneytown. Nancy has scheduled that first ambassador program, and we're seeking new volunteers. We've got a few, and they're interested in the training of the ambassador program. So we're looking forward to that because all of Main Streets, not just Taneytown, are suffering. So it's time to sort of revamp the whole program.
And this,
And
for everybody, right? I mean,
Yes.
it's not- You don't have to be on a committee or...
you don't
any-
have to be on a committee
business
or
owner,
anything.
nothing.
If you're interested in this ambassador program, please call Nancy, and she will set you up and give you the information. The program is being put on by John Wheatman from the from the Entrepreneur Store. Also in line with that, I received an email from an official from Habitat from Humanity who's interested in partnering with Taneytown, supplying volunteers, and doing a project here. So I meet with him next week, and we will see what they have in mind. That's all I
Okay.
have.
Very good. Joe, what do you have for us?
a few things tonight. First of all, I certainly don't want to go into too much detail in case I take away, from Carl or from yourself, but I wanted to say that I enjoyed National Night Out thoroughly. The police department did an amazing job, as they always do, and they should be roundly complimented for the work that they do. And I think that the turnout of citizens to that event speaks to their professionalism and the personal connections that they make with the citizens of this town, and they should be congratulated for that. The other thing I wanted to bring up under new business, but I didn't get a chance to, was how we could perhaps help Ellicott City. I would request permission to talk about that, if that's all right. Do we have it in our budget to say donate maybe like $1,000 to them? Is that within our means?
No, it's not budgeted. But that doesn't mean it couldn't come out of our savings.
And
The items in our city hall donations, are they all spoken for in the budget? Okay.
would it be possible for our next meeting if, I don't know, if we could look into it to see if there was a way that we could donate money to them?
You can. If you direct that to happen, it will happen, and we'll just make an amendment to the budget.
I'd like to make a motion that we donate $1,000 to Ellicott City to help them with their recovery. I mean, I know they certainly would do the same for us if we were in their situation.
Is there a second to that?
I second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Thank you, Joe. That was good.
Yes.
Thanks, Jim.
Carl, for you, your turn.
Well, I'm still the new boy on the block here. I have had a meeting with Chief Bill. We have talked a little bit about some things that we may be thinking about doing, and hopefully as the next meeting, I'll be more on ground and we can do a few things. If anyone has any problems or questions about the police department or any thoughts, please pass them to me as well. That's it.
Okay, very good. Just a couple things. I mentioned Wednesday night that I asked Daniel Haynes to be our representative on the Carroll County Regulatory Commission. I guess to make it official, I need approval of council to allow that to happen, I suppose. Can I get a motion to accept Daniel Haynes as our representative on the Carroll
So
County
moved.
Regulatory
Yeah.
Commission?
We had a motion here. I think we need a second.
Second?
Great.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So carried. There you go. You're official. I wanted to remind everybody that the Maryland Municipal League Fall Conference is coming up before we know it. It's October the 14th and 15th, 13th, 14th, 15th, down at Solomon's, Maryland. And I think you need to let Claire know if you have intentions of attending that conference so we can get registered. The next week, of course, we have the Lions Club Family Fun Days, I think, that's coming up about a month early from way it usually is. And we're looking forward to those days coming up, and they won't be too long. I received word last week that once again I'll be serving on the legislative committee for Maryland Municipal League. Surprise, surprise, surprise. But that's something I enjoy doing, and I've been doing for many years.
I know.
And I was glad to accept that offer. So I'm looking forward to working with the new regime. And since we do have a few minutes, and Dan told me before the meeting he only had a very little bit to say regarding the 20-minute meeting of the Carroll Regulatory Commission. So any comments you'd like to make on your first meeting at the Carroll Regulatory Commission? If you say, if you say, I'd rather come back at another time, I'll let you come back another time.
I have to make it official, right? I'd rather come back at another time.
Thank you, sir. All right. We're finished. Unless somebody has a motion to make.
Uh,
There's an anniversary of the museum Saturday.
Oh, I forgot to mention that. Anniversary for the museum is on Saturday. I did my first ocean duty Saturday. It's like riding a bike. You just got right back in the saddle and away I went. George Naylor and I talked for 3 hours. I learned more about stuff in Cambridge rubber than I ever knew it was possible. And it was very interesting.
What time is that on Saturday?
1 to 4.
1 to 4. 13th
Mayor.
anniversary, 14th anniversary. 12.
12. You're pushing time.
I'm still pushing it, but that's very nice. That's very good.
Before you adjourn, did everyone have a chance to review the petition report from our staff? The petition verification report came to us. It needs to be adopted by the council. Everybody have a chance to look at that? between Wednesday and now?
I don't know.
I looked at the report, was not able to come into the office to get my questions answered.
I was going to make a motion at this meeting to go ahead and accept the report, since the numbers are so clear that they were over, the citizens are over 100 votes. 59 is required. They certified 981.
That was
So-
reported Wednesday night, I think.
Yeah. But, the law requires that we have a vote on that, and, right, because the petitions are given to the
Not on the-
government,
I don't
represented by
see
the
it on the
council.
docket tonight, so we'll wait till September, but make sure that gets on the docket for September.
Is that okay
We
with
should-
everybody?
We should have a resolution for September, which will then approve all of those
Yeah.
things. So
Yeah.
that was our course of action.
Yeah.
Okay, then.
We'll be meeting between now and then and come up with a proper resolution. So
It
anyone
would
care to
accept
make
this
a-
report, and then what else would the resolution do?
It will determine the language that will be on the ballot.
What's the procedure for determining language on the ballot?
I believe, I
What's
guess
that?
we all,
Procedure for what?
procedure to determine the language on the ballot.
I don't know.
I guess we'll all have to.
Certainly, as a
I
council,
guess
would like to
we'll-
review that or have a
We'll
vote on
have
that.
staff
Well, you'll have
prepare
a vote
something
on
and
it.
we'll vote on it. I guess that's the
Yep.
procedure.
'Cause you could
That's
say
what the
anything.
resolution is saying. That's what the resolution will do.
Sounds like a good
Yeah.
plan to me.
Well, it seems to me this is a separate matter. It's accepting this report from staff. We complimented them on the able job done. I would
Well-
make a motion this meeting to go ahead and accept the report as verified.
All right, is there a second? Hearing nothing, the motion dies. Is there any other motions that appear to be made?
Yes, I make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Like sign, so carried. Thank you, folks. See you in September. I think there's a song like that. isn't there?
Yeah.
Back when I was
1866?
watching Buddy Dean on television, they used to sing that song.
That was popular when I was in basic training.
Actually, I didn't watch Buddy.